Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 2 Part 253 based on novel. So let's start. Juzi nodded gently and said, I should be responsible for this matter. I was the one who gave the order for the two Soul Engineer legions to attack the Doling Empire. Accurate information can only be obtained from me. I can't report such a military mission to the military supervisor either. That's why the responsibility lies with me. All of you don't have to say anything else. Since I mentioned that I'll shoulder all the blame, I'll do it. From a profit standpoint, punishing me alone can help to protect all of you, the pillar of the empire. Juzi sounded very composed. However, how could all the Soul Engineers be composed when they heard her words? Suddenly, they all lowered their voices. They were clearly aware of what kind of responsibility she had to bear for this matter. By attacking the Holy Ghost Church, it was equivalent to causing a revolt, even if it was justified. The punishment for a revolt was the extermination of 9 generations of one's clan. Yes. By taking the blame for everyone, Juzi was indeed minimizing all punishment. After all, she held such a respectable status in the empire. This war god empress was once an orphan saved by the emperor of the Sun Moon Empire. Many people tried to scheme against him when he decided to marry her. An empress without a proper background was disallowed in the imperial family. If not for the fact that Xu Tianran ignored all the objections, Juzi wouldn't have become the empress. Right now, her lack of background was ideal. Because she was by herself, no matter how heavy the punishment was, she would be the only one punished. However, she was the empress. She was even the war god empress. Even though she appeared very calm, how could the Soul Engineers be calm? We are willing to share the blame with you, Marshal. Even if we are killed, we will die without any regrets. A Soul Engineer Legion commander kneeled on the floor before kowtowing to her. This was a formality given only to an emperor. As a Legion commander, no one could make him kneel on both knees except for the emperor. With the first came the second. Very soon, the entire tent was full of people kneeling down. Juzi kneeled too. Right now, she could no longer hold her cool. Her tears fell uncontrollably. Thank you, comrades, for your unity. However, I must accept responsibility myself. The empire cannot survive without all of you. I only have one small request right now. I hope all of you can agree to it. The oldest Class 9 Soul Engineer lifted his head to look at her. His expression was very fierce, but it was filled with sincerity. Your Majesty, please tell us. We'll do it as long as we can. This Soul Engineer had already decided. At such a period of time, it was best for Juzi to bear the burden for everything herself. This was because she was likely to escape without punishment. After all, she had accumulated many merits. She might not die. As for them, they were doomed if they went to take the rap. The Holy Ghost Church and military law wouldn't let them off. Juzi said, with your trust, I can die without regrets. However, the Crown Prince is too young. If I die, there'll be another empress in the future. I'm only asking for your help as a mother. Please protect the Crown Prince and let him grow up happily. Even if he can't become the emperor in the future, it's fine. Everything is good as long as he's safe. Right now, Juzi appeared very cowardly, and was even filled with fear and sorrow. But it was also right now that she could truly touch others. The invincible war god empress revealed her soft side. Such an atmosphere was too much even for these iron-blooded soldiers. Another Class 9 Soul Engineer suddenly stood up and came to lift Juzi to her feet. Marshal, we'll always be on your side no matter what. You won't die. No one will die. We control more than 2/3 the power of the empire. We... Shut up. The old Soul Engineer appeared furious. Do you really want everyone to lose their life? They couldn't continue after speaking until here. Juzi regained her composure and comforted all the generals before sending them back to rest. As for how they were going to settle this matter, they were going to follow the original plan. However, she had obtained what she wanted. At times, putting herself in the soldier's shoes was more important. By doing so, she could win them over. By winning them over, she could then win over the entire world. Juzi took a solid step in the attainment of her target. Yuhao wasn't aware of all this. In fact, he just reached his destination. A thick snowy mountain was already within view. It was covered by fog, but the fog couldn't stop Yuhao anymore. Even if there were powerful soul beasts amidst the fog, he couldn't be stopped. Gentle spiritual power spread, and Yuhao sensed everything around him. He was like a spectre as he silently ascended Clear Sky Peak. At the top of the peak, Clear Sky Castle was still standing there as usual. Nothing seemed to have changed. This was Yuhao's fourth time at the castle. Every time, he had a different feeling. He felt the best the first time. When he first came, he was well treated by the two sect leaders. However, it was also here that he almost flattened the entire castle because of the Snow Empress embryo. What was most unforgettable in Yuhao's mind was that his teacher, Electrolux, had left him forever here. Wang Donga was unconscious the second time, and he was the one who personally brought her back. Then, he was completely heartbroken. When he left that time, Wang Donga ceased to exist. When he came for the third time, it was because he found out that Wang Donga had left. This was the fourth time. It seemed like misfortune followed him every time he came. However, he had no choice if he wanted Tang Wutong to recover. Yuhao didn't knock on the door when he arrived in front of the castle. He didn't call anyone either. He only just kneeled down in front of the castle. Not long afterward, the door to the castle opened, and Tai Tan walked out. He didn't say anything to Yuhao. He only walked in front of him before giving him a kick. This kick threw Yuhao far back. Tai Tan used a lot of force with this kick. Yuhao's body was like a shell, and he was kicked all the way out of Clear Sky Peak. Tai Tan was merciless. Yuhao didn't resist either. The tremendous pain almost crushed his second soul core. He spat out mouthfuls of blood. However, he still appeared as relieved as he was earlier. He returned to the peak and silently came in front of Tai Tan. He kneeled down once again. He didn't say anything, and only lowered his head. Tai Tan looked coldly at him. Of course, I don't have to ask him anything. The only reason he's here is because Wutong is in trouble, judging from his demeanor. Where is she? Tai Tan asked. Yuhao recited a few incantations, opening the spectral door. Tang Wutong was sent out and presented in front of Tai Tan. Tai Tan hugged Tang Wutong and returned to the castle. The door to the castle closed heavily, and a deep rumbling sound could be heard. No one came out from the castle after Tai Tan entered. Yuhao didn't move either. He only kneeled there and waited silently. He neither ate nor drank anything. For someone of his cultivation, he wouldn't die even if he kneeled down for a few months. Furthermore, his injuries also gradually recovered under the effect of his twin soul cores. He only needed 1 day to heal completely. He didn't even take any medicine. He kneeled down properly, and felt much better doing so. He had no intention of returning alive this time. If Tang Wutong couldn't be treated, he would kill himself for her. If she could be treated, he had to see her again even if it was at the expense of death. This was why he was kneeling down, not only to atone for his sins. He was also kneeling down to wait for results. This time, he wouldn't leave the peak no matter what happened. He was going to wait here until Tang Wutong was fine, or until she died. He was no longer sad. This was because he treated her as part of himself. If she was well, he would be well, and the reverse was also true. If she was a part of him, what was there for him to be sad about? 7 days and nights passed just like this. The cold caused a layer of frost to form on his body. Even when kneeling down, his soul power was still circulating silently. According to his estimates, his soul power should be around rank 94 after the gains he had made during that big fight earlier, and after he formed his twin soul cores. For normal title Dolor, it was very difficult to improve further after crossing rank 90. However, this wasn't an issue for him. The foundation set by his twin soul cores was too good. His improvement didn't stop at all. According to Elder Xian, he would at least reach rank 98 without facing any bottlenecks. Of course, it was also precisely because of this that he would face a life-and-death situation when he reached rank 98 and wanted to make a breakthrough to rank 99. However, this wasn't on Yuhao's mind right now. He had no desire to improve himself anymore. He only had one person on his mind. Another 7 days passed. By now, 14 days had passed. Yuhao had already grown a beard from kneeling there. He was even like an ice statue right now. His entire body was completely engulfed by a thick layer of frost. When the 15th day arrived, the door to the castle finally opened. Tang San was still the one who walked out. Tang San appeared very grim. When he walked out, Yuhao immediately reacted. He subconsciously lifted his head, and the ice cracked. Tang San kicked him once again. However, it was much softer this time. At least Yuhao wasn't hurt this time. Although Yuhao was still a little sloppy and his beard was still quite long when he flew back, there was no longer any ice or snow on his body. "Come in." Tang San turned around and went back into the castle after he said these two words. Yuhao hurriedly followed him. He could no longer keep calm. His heart was palpitating. How exactly is Wutong? He didn't know. It was time to determine his fate. After entering the castle, Tang San brought him to the main hall. He sat down himself, but didn't invite Yuhao to take a seat. Niu Qian was also around. He was silently seated in the main seat, and appeared even more gloomy than Tang San. Wutong is not in good shape. Do you call this protecting her? He said coldly. Yuhao's heart sank. He didn't say anything, and only kneeled down. Get up. What's the point of having you here just to kneel down and kowtow to us? Even if you kneel for 10,000 years and become a turtle, will Wutong get better? Tang San was furious. Yuhao laughed bitterly. I only have this body of mine. I won't harp on what I've done wrong. As long as I can save Wutong, I'm willing to do anything. If I can't, I'll go with her. We'll go to another world, and I'll protect her there. Niu Qian's facial muscles contorted. Given a choice, I should have killed you the moment I saw you. At least we'd spare our darling so much pain. Yuhao could only laugh bitterly. Niu Qian was right. If Tang Wutong didn't follow him, she might not have suffered so much pain. Right now, there's only one way. Niu Qian suddenly said. Ah? Yuhao was surprised as he looked at him. There was immediately an angry look in his eyes. However, you'll need to make a sacrifice, Niu Qian said calmly. Are you willing to do so? I am. Yuhao didn't even ask what the sacrifice was. He agreed without any hesitation. He was even willing to give up his life for Tang Wutong. What more could he not do? Niu Qian said, Wutong's body has been corroded by the aura of death. This aura of death has already fused with her spiritual sea, which is keeping her unconscious. The only way right now is for her to force this aura of death out from her body using her own strength. This is the only way she can recover. However, she's not strong enough yet. Yuhao was confused as he asked, what should we do then? Niu Qian answered, if I'm not wrong, you already have twin soul cores. Furthermore, they are yin-yang complement twin soul cores. Am I right? Yes. Yuhao immediately nodded. At the same time, he was astonished. It was important to know that even Zhong Liwu couldn't tell what his twin soul cores were, but this sect leader of the Clear Sky sect could. Even with Yuhao's sharpness, he couldn't tell how strong Niu Qian really was. Was it that Niu Qian was also an ultimate Dolor? The only creature who could tell that he had yin-yang complement soul cores was the beast god, Di Qian. Niu Qian said, if we want Wutong to force the aura of death out from her body using her own strength, we need her to form twin soul cores too. They have to be formed using the yin-yang complement too, so that she'll stand a chance of survival. The soul cores will also dispel the aura of death naturally. Neither myself nor my second brother can do it. Our powers are different from Wutong's. Our martial souls are also different. Only you can help her. We have a special method in our sect which allows one to temporarily project his soul core into the body of another party. From there, one can help the other party to circulate their soul power. However, the only requirement is that both parties need to have extremely compatible soul power. Wutong's soul core is also light type. It's also her radiant butterfly goddess soul power. There's only one way for her to most easily form her second soul core right now, which is through spiritual power. Your spiritual power is sufficiently strong too. This is why we need you to project your spiritual soul core into her spiritual sea and help her form her second soul core. From there, you can complete the formation using the yin-yang complement. Do you understand? Are there any risks? Yuhao asked. Yes. The thing about this method is that it helps the other party, but it harms yourself. Wutong isn't in much danger. As long as you are determined enough, the probability of success will be high. However, you might lose your soul core in the process. You might even hurt your origin because of the internal damage to your soul cores. The worst result is that you'll become an idiot. Even if you don't, your powers will fall greatly. You might not ever become a titled dolor in the future. Niu Qian said. This is why you should consider it very carefully. Once we begin, it's going to be very difficult to stop. Stopping it will instantly endanger Wutong's life. Yuhao stood up and shook his head. There's no need to consider any more. Let's begin. Titan said, you must think it through carefully. Any injuries will be irreversible. Your twin soul cores are bound to be affected. According to my knowledge, you are the first human in history to complete the formation of yin-yang complement twin soul cores. It's likely that no one will follow in your footsteps either. Uncle Titan, Uncle Niu Qian, let's stop wasting time. If we delay any further, Wutong's body will be corroded even more by the aura of death. Let's begin now. As long as we can make Wutong better, I can even give you my life. Let's not even talk about lowering my cultivation. However, I have something that I need both your help with. Niu Qian said, tell me. There was a determined look in Yuhao's eyes. If I become an idiot in the process, please kill me immediately before dumping my corpse. We don't need Wutong to see me in that state. Just tell her that I left her after sending her here. Titan was curious. Why? Yuhao answered, with her temperament, she'll want to take care of me forever if I become an idiot. She'll never be happy or blissful ever again. She'll be hurt if she knows I left. However, her pain will lessen over time. But she must never know I'm dead. Otherwise, it'll only backfire. This is why I hope both of you can grant me this wish. After hearing his words, Niu Qian and Titan looked at him with a gentler expression on their faces. Niu Qian nodded and said, all right, I promise. Yuhao said, let's begin then. Is there food to eat? I want to grab a bite and take a rest first so that I'll be in my best state. I must help Wutong recover. Titan said, let me bring you some food. Yuhao ate scrumptiously and didn't bother about taste at all. Right now, he only saw food as a way to replenish his energy. After eating, he meditated a little. After 2 hours, he finally reappeared in front of Titan. Niu Qian had disappeared somewhere. Once again, Titan asked Yuhao whether he was regretful. After receiving a determined answer, he led Yuhao to the top of the castle. They only stopped when they reached the top floor. There was only one room at the top. There were 4 windows around the room. The sea of clouds outside the castle could be clearly seen from this room. As the clouds drifted in the sky, it felt as if this was some kind of immortal realm. Tang Wutong was quietly lying down at the center of a large bed. She appeared very peaceful, as if she was in a deep sleep. But she looked very pale, and there was even an aura of death surrounding her body. The death god demon puppet's attack was simply too strong. It was a miracle that she had actually survived. Yuhao's face immediately contorted when he saw her. Whether it was Wang Donga or Tang Wutong, they had both suffered a lot for him. Even Yuhao didn't know how he could face Wang Donga or Tang Wutong. If this carried on, he might actually go crazy. As a man, instead of protecting his own woman, he let her get critically hurt because of him. Such a feeling was very consuming. Yuhao was in such pain. When he heard of this method to save Tang Wutong, he actually felt relieved in his heart. It was as if he had been freed from restraints. So what if he had to sacrifice his abilities for her? Yuhao turned his head to look at Titan. Uncle Titan, how do we start? Titan said, sit opposite Wutong. I'll lift her up. Your palms must touch. Then I'll give you instructions on what to do. All right. Yuhao gave Titan a hand in lifting Tang Wutong. They placed her in a seated position. Her head drooped and her pinkish-blue hair flowed down. Yuhao couldn't help but tear up when he saw like this. As their palms touched, his palms shook slightly. Cleanse your mind of impurities. Otherwise, you'll harm both her and yourself. Titan's voice sounded in Yuhao's ears. Yuhao was immediately alarmed. He hurriedly focused and stabilized himself. Titan said, pour your soul power into Wutong's body slowly. Entangle your soul power with hers. After we control the aura of death and restrain it, it'll be less chaotic, even though the resistance will be even stronger. Once you fuse your soul power into her, the aura of death will certainly circulate into your body through your soul power. If you want to complete this method, you must possess an aura of death too. Yuhao circulated his soul power and slowly fused it with the aura of death in Tang Wutong's body. The entire fusion process was very slow. The aura of death wasn't very domineering. While it flowed into Yuhao's body, it wasn't doing so very smoothly. This was because Yuhao's twin soul cores were simply too strong. His soul power was shaped like a whirlpool. Once the aura of death entered his body, it was immediately swept away. Yuhao was no longer as weak as he was after he fought 10 people. Even if the death god demon puppet stabbed him in the back right now, the aura of death would quickly be dispelled from his body by his twin soul cores. To guide the aura of death into his body, Yuhao had no choice but to control his twin soul cores to circulate soul power at a slower speed. This allowed his soul power to become gentler so that the aura of death could gradually enter and try to corrode his body. Titan observed both of them by one side. When a layer of the aura of death started to surface on Yuhao's skin, he said, you can pour your soul power into Wutong and try to communicate with her soul power. While your soul power is different from hers, both of you can fuse your martial souls together. This means that your martial souls are still very compatible. At least she won't develop resistance. You must try to multitask. On the one hand, you have to try to interact with her soul power. On the other hand, you must try to push your spiritual power into her spiritual sea. Use your Eye of Destiny to release your spiritual power. The point of entry is at the same exact spot on Wutong's forehead. Yuhao didn't make a sound. His Eye of Destiny slowly opened. Rose gold sunray patterns spread from his forehead as gentle spiritual power surged from his Eye of Destiny. Even with Titan's cultivation, he was still astonished when Yuhao released his pure spiritual power. This kid's abilities have indeed increased greatly. He walked behind Tang Wutong and lifted her head. Yuhao carefully controlled his spiritual power, approaching Tang Wutong's brow with it. He was very aware of what was on her forehead, and where the golden trident pattern was. This pattern rarely appeared. It would only be activated when he touched any part of Tang Wutong's body with a seal, or if Tang Wutong intentionally activated it. It should be there since Uncle Titan asked me to trigger it. Gentle spiritual undulations gradually transmitted from Tang Wutong's brow under the stimulation of Yuhao's gentle spiritual power. Although these undulations weren't strong, it felt as if it was resisting any foreign invasion. Yuhao and Tang Wutong were already so close to each other, but he could still sense the rejection the seal had towards him. Purely in terms of spiritual power, Yuhao was close to the standard of an ultimate Dolor. This slight rejection couldn't affect him. He only continued to use his spiritual power to stimulate that particular spot on her forehead. Slowly, Tang Wutong lifted her head on her own. She no longer needed Tai Tan's help. Dim golden patterns started to appear on her forehead. At the very start, there was only a streak. However, the patterns slowly grew more extensive, and her spiritual undulations also became stronger and stronger. Yuhao was astonished to discover that these spiritual undulations that Tang Wutong released made him want to submit to her. In terms of the strength of their spiritual powers, there was still a pretty large gap. However, this was not important. The more important thing was the mighty and dominant feeling that Tang Wutong's spiritual power projected. When it interacted with his spiritual power, it was as if it was looking down on it. Yuhao had had such a feeling before, which had even caused a misunderstanding between him and Tang Wutong. It was when he had tried to fuse with Tang Wutong's martial soul not long after he met her. Back then, he had felt something like this from her soul power. As his cultivation increased, this feeling had slowly disappeared, and eventually vanished. Right now, this feeling appeared again. The golden trident became more and more apparent under the stimulation of Yuhao's spiritual power. The pressure that Yuhao was under also grew stronger and stronger. Continue to pour out your soul and spiritual power. Don't stop. Tai Tan's voice sounded once again. Yuhao could only maintain the output of his spiritual and soul power. Tai Tan didn't teach him any secret methods. He only told Yuhao to maintain such a state. Yuhao possessed yin-yang complement soul cores. Whether it was the recovery of his soul or spiritual power, he was one of the best in the world right now. Even an ultimate Dolor might not be comparable to him in this aspect. After all, he was the first person to cultivate yin-yang complement soul cores. It was under such a condition that Yuhao was able to maintain his current state. The recovery of his soul and spiritual power was faster than their output. To him, it was not an issue at all. As he poured in his soul power, the aura of death in her body seemed to be completely forced out. There seemed to be much more of the aura of death seeping into Yuhao's body. To affect Tang Wutong's treatment, Yuhao didn't even dispel the aura of death. He allowed it to circulate within his body. However, his body was very sturdy right now. His passageways and organs were all exuding golden light. With his immense soul power and life energy, such external forces couldn't influence him at all. Everything that the aura of death was trying to do was in vain. The brightness of the sky gradually faded. As Yuhao's eye of destiny was open, he knew that a day had passed. After day came night. After night, it was daytime again. In the blink of an eye, 1 day and 1 night had passed. Yuhao was still in his original position. More of his soul power had entered Tang Wutong's body by now. It entangled itself with her soul power without impacting it. While Tang Wutong's soul power didn't fuse with his, it didn't reject his soul power either. On the spiritual level, Tang Wutong's golden trident shone with blinding golden light as it was stimulated by his spiritual power. As the intense golden light shone, the entire room was illuminated, and the might that the golden trident unleashed even left Yuhao feeling a little strenuous. At this moment, a sudden buzz came from Yuhao's body. After this, a refreshing feeling instantly entered his eye of destiny. His rose gold eye of destiny was covered by a layer of icy blue light. When this glow appeared, the might that came from the golden trident suddenly disappeared. It vanished. This was... Yuhao was delightfully surprised to discover the presence of this refreshing feeling. Wasn't it the aura of the morning dew dagger? Sigh of the frozen goddess, morning dew dagger. It was what he had inherited from the god of emotions Nian Rongbing. After being subjected to external stimulation, the dagger naturally passed its aura to him. Don't tell me that the aura of the golden trident also belongs to a god. Otherwise, why does it need to be neutralized by the aura of another god? While he could no longer sense the aura of the golden trident, Yuhao was still very confused. He started to pour out more spiritual power. The golden trident looked like a real entity right now. Not only was it shining brightly with golden light, but there was even a material feeling to it. Yuhao, summon your spiritual soul core fully. After that, force your spiritual soul core into Wutong's spiritual sea through the spiritual connection that you've built with her, that golden trident. Yuhao hesitated a little. He didn't follow Tai Tan's instructions immediately. It wasn't easy for him to shift his soul core. A soul core was a soul master's foundation. Furthermore, stability was key. Once there were problems with one soul core, an explosion could happen. Given Yuhao's abilities, the entire castle might be blown to pieces if his soul core exploded. This wasn't even what Yuhao was most worried about. This was because he believed in his control. More importantly, could Tang Wutong withstand it? Could her spiritual sea withstand his soul core? Could his soul core be shifted over through their current spiritual connection? Don't worry. I'm about to use our secret method. Just do what I say. Do you really think I'm going to lie to you? Tai Tan seemed to have read Yuhao's thoughts and immediately responded. Yuhao had no choice right now. He could only believe Tai Tan. He gritted his teeth and started to control his spiritual soul core. Yuhao's spiritual soul core was a golden whirlpool. At the depths of this whirlpool, there was a subtle golden crystal entity. Right now, his spiritual soul core started to gently shift under his intentional control. His spiritual soul core was in his Eye of Destiny. Or rather, it was connected to his Eye of Destiny. When he touched his spiritual soul core, it was immediately projected outwards from his Eye of Destiny. His bright golden spiritual soul core was revolving tremendously in his Eye of Destiny, but it was very stable. Furthermore, it was slowly becoming clearer and clearer. The rose-gold sunray patterns disappeared, to be replaced by golden radial patterns. Yuhao's forehead also shone with golden light that was as intense as the golden light that came from Tang Wutong's golden trident. The entire room was engulfed with immense spiritual undulations. Even the entire castle was covered by a layer of golden light from Yuhao's spiritual soul core. There was a sea of clouds outside the castle. The clouds that were closest to the castle were illuminated brightly. As golden light spread, the mountain peak that the clear sky castle was on seemed to become an immortal paradise. Tai Tan was already seated cross-legged behind Tang Wutong by now. He was sensing the immense spiritual aura that Yuhao's spiritual soul core released. There was a delighted look on his face. He started to recite incantations. He lifted his hands at the same time and pressed them against Tang Wutong's shoulders. Strange lights formed. As Tang Wutong was blocking him, Yuhao couldn't see Tai Tan slowly shrinking behind Tang Wutong. A gentle light projection also appeared in front of Tai Tan. There seemed to be a man with long blue hair seated cross-legged there. He lifted his hand and pressed one finger against the back of Tang Wutong's head. This video will end here.